Did any of you actually ask for this small of a bed on a full-size truck, or whose idea was this anyways? And here's what a truck bed should look like, at least 6 feet long and with some sort of a bed liner. I never thought I'd be saying this, but the Nissan, and some of them are just trying to steal your money. There's actually a $27,000 example of the Ford Maverick. This is the one that I think a lot of people want. I love the Ram TRX. This is actually one of the best trucks that I have ever driven, but at $124,000, or twice what the average household gross income is in the town that this is located, I'm not surprised that it's been sitting here for a few months. Good news, this year-old Lincoln Navigator is now just over $10,000 off, making it only $94,000. Or this one is now over $11,000 off, making it quite the deal. What the heck is going on here? It feels like something fishy to me. A month later, in this $93,000 MSRP 2024 Ford Bronco Raptor is still sitting here. So if it is discounted on the website, I will include that. I'll overlay that on the screen. But is anyone really surprised that this hasn't sold yet? Toyota Tundra inventory is not low. There's a bunch of these trucks. Yet this one, which MSRPs for about $70,000, the dealership still has the nerve to think it's worth $3,000 of markup, plus about $1,300 of nonsense, when these invoice for the 1794 trim level at about $60,000. So ultimately, this dealership wants about $14,000 of profit on their new Tundra. And if you guys like this video and you appreciate the work that went into it, please consider liking this video. That helps me know you want to watch more stuff like this. It also helps you by having YouTube choose to show you more stuff like this. And I'll go on more road trips. I'll do more follow-ups, and I'll see what I can find out to inform you guys with. And about a month ago, all of these 2500 Cummins diesel trucks did have about a $7,200 discount below MSRP. I'll look online and I'll share that on the screen if there's any discount still, but maybe the rebate has ended and these trucks are back to full price. I hope that's not the case. Let's just check out a random example. This is again a 2500 Cummins heavy duty. I can already tell it doesn't have a bed liner and only like a middle length bed from what that looks like, maybe about 6 feet. The interior is actually super nice. You have a lot of piping around the seats, leather interior. You don't have a bench, you have the center console. And it's $84,000 for what is supposed to be a work truck. I don't know why you don't get a bed liner, but you get a super fancy interior, and you're gonna be paying $84,000 for just a work truck if this doesn't have any discounts below MSRP. About a month ago, all of these 4xe plug-in hybrid Jeeps were about $15,000 off, which is about a quarter of the MSRP. So a lot of you guys have commented below that you accidentally or unfortunately bought one of these at full price, and then when Jeep does these huge rebates for 25% off because you know they're not worth what they're asking, that puts your used ones at maybe $30,000 to $35,000, meaning that in less than a year, you've lost about 40% of the value of your new plug-in hybrid Jeep. Yeah, and I'm not currently seeing that discount on any of these, so I'll overlay it from the website if there is anything. But it's really a shame. If you wanted one of these, I guess you needed to buy it about a month ago if you wanted to save $15,000. I do actually really appreciate that this dealership shows basically the vehicle pricing on almost all of their vehicles hanging off of the rear view mirror. But with how big that piece of paper is, I just wish they showed you more information, like if it's new, if it's used, and if it's used, how many miles does it have? I don't think you guys are gonna like this. This is a base model Bronco with a soft top and steely wheels with what looks like basically just all-season tires. And the asking price on this one is $50,000. Or check out this carryover Hemi 5.7 liter. So we know it's not a 2025 because it doesn't have the SST, which is the inline-six turbo. And it's $57,000. It has a really nice brown leather interior, if you guys can see that. But it has the Ram cargo boxes on both sides. Again, basically a mid-sized truck bed. Maybe not even that big. This might be more in line with like the Honda Ridgeline cubic room altogether. And no bed liner, of course. Here are a few of the current generation Honda Ridgelines, which I think they've been this generation for maybe 7 years. I think this came out in 2017. But check out the bed. They all have a bed liner, and that's about as much cubic capacity or more than the Ram with the cargo boxes. So if you need a lot of storage space, maybe just buy the unibody Ridgeline. Honestly, a lot of people seem to like these. They actually are powered by the 3.5 liter VTEC Honda engine, which has been bulletproof and around for over 20 years now. And they even have a 9-speed automatic. So in some cases, this might be more of a truck than, say, the Ram that has the inline-six turbo, which has already been shown by TfL's testing to get worse MPG than a 5-liter F-150. Oh no, a carryover couple-year-old ZR2 that has the little 2.8-liter Duramax, and it's a $49,000 truck. I'm pretty sure these brand new weren't more than the mid-40s, but I'll overlay MSRP on the last new year of this exact truck to show you guys for sure. Guys, it's still here. This started life as a $70,000 MSRP 2022 GMC Sierra. Then it had the Harley-Davidson package for over $30,000. At one point, the asking price was $107. It's been lowered a few times, with the most recent price now being $90,000. It's been about a month since I've been in town to check out this truck, and am I surprised that it's still here? Not really. It's about to be 3 years old, as the new 2025 model years are just about to roll off the assembly line. So this 3-year-old truck is $90,000, and it has a block lift in the back, and it doesn't even have a 5th extra full-size tire for the new Harley-Davidson package. It just has the useless spare tire, which they might as well just sell that independently, because that's no good if you're needing a tire change. Personally, I really like the look of the new Colorados and the Canyons, and I've driven a few of them. I've even done a 0 to 60 comparison test of all the engines, all the offerings for this and the last generation. But look at the bed of this. I'm pretty sure, guys, that this is in fact more cubic storage capacity than the Ram boxes on the full-size Ram 1500. What do you think? Comment below. Luxury vehicles seriously don't keep any value. There's nothing that I enjoy more than finding 2-year-old examples of Lincoln Navigators and Ford Expeditions that are about $40,000. So in 2 years, they have lost over $50,000 of their value. The 2022, so it's a 2-year-old Ford Expedition. It only has about 45,000 miles on it, and it's already lost about half of its value with an asking price of $41,000. And I've found quite a few examples of 10-year-old models, some of them with less than 100,000 miles, and they're usually going for about $10,000 to $12,000. So if you don't like losing money, maybe considering buying something that's not a huge luxury SUV. Maybe find something that's a little bit more utilitarian, that you're not paying for the luxury that goes out of date within a couple weeks. Pay for something that's going to be longer lasting, reliable, or I guess pay for whatever you're interested in. But just be aware that I have found plenty of examples of 2 to 10-year-old versions of vehicles like this and other vehicles that they've lost 50% of their value in 2 years or 90% of their value in 10 years, which is faster than the average vehicle depreciates, because luxury, high-tech stuff, that all goes out of date pretty fast. No one wants to buy an old luxury vehicle without paying a pretty small penny for it. Finally, a few Ford Mavericks, and there's actually a variety of trim levels and pricing. You might be spending as much as $41,000 on the Tremor, but notice it actually has a pretty decent Wild Peak tire and a good wheel, has a bed liner, has an outlet, it has the cargo slides, it has the lighting. And this one, though, it is $41,000, so it's only $6,000 less than the average new vehicle. But if we skip on over to here, there's actually a $27,000 example of the Ford Maverick. This is the one that I think a lot of people want. So $27,000. It is overall only a 4-star crash test rating, so Ford did have to skimp on some of the safety features and the crash zones and some of the development that could be there. And you don't get a bed liner, but you get steely wheels, you get all-season Pro Contact Continental tires. You even have a backup camera, which is, of course, legally required these days. And it's a hybrid, so you might be getting yourself over 30 miles per gallon on this specific model. Although, yep, 42 city, 33 highway, kind of interesting numbers for this hybrid. But hey, it's here, it's a $27,000 truck. And maybe more than anything else, the best part about it is I think it has more cargo space than the Ram with the cargo boxes. But it might be cutting it kind of close on this mini truck, which is unibody and based off of the Ford Bronco Sport, which can be found right over here. One of my biggest issues with all of this, and one of my purposes for making these videos, is why are there so many full-size diesel trucks that don't even have a bed liner? This one's a Tremor, so it's kind of the off-road package, almost like the Power Wagon by Dodge. No bed liner is mentioned. It thankfully is at least a full-size bed that you could fit some plywood back here and probably can tow 20,000 pounds or whatever these high outputs are rated. But it's $97,000. So there's a bunch of these. There's a whole boatload of Super Duty trucks, and there's only 4 Mavericks, which are the trucks that normal people buy because most people don't actually work in construction. Very few people actually do. So why is the majority of the trucks on the lot full-size and heavy-duty Super Duties that cost about 1.5 times what the average household income in America even is? But if we're being honest, the majority of people who actually own and drive trucks don't even need them, hence why you find so many without a bed liner, without even having a hitch or trailer package on them. And sometimes, depending on the parking lot size, when vehicles weren't so big and those parking lots are built and painted, you might find 2 backed up back to back. And they're so large, they're so obstructive to the lane that you can't even drive past them down the lane because trucks take up too much space. Check it out, this one doesn't even have a trailer package on it. So if a truck owner who actually doesn't use it for truck purposes is maybe willing to reassess their situation, and you might decide like, yeah, there are a lot of unibody smaller vehicles like at Bear MPG, they're much safer in accidents, and it's not a status symbol or, you know, who has the most money, what you're driving down the street, especially if you're in debt to do that. There's a lot of other good options. I never thought that I would say this, but the South Koreans have really come a long way with Kia and Hyundai, or the Japanese brands, especially Subaru and Mazda and Nissan particularly. I personally stopped buying Toyotas a while ago. I don't find that the value is there, especially where they're moving some of their assembly like the Tacomas to Mexico just to pay $2 an hour of labor costs to build them versus an actual livable wage in America. So there are a lot of good options. For instance, check out this. This is a 2024 Santa Cruz. It's over $1,500 below MSRP. It has a bed. It has a bed that's about as big as the Ram, which I know I've rambled on a lot about the Ram cargo boxes today. It's just because I personally find it so darn silly. But that's enough storage for most people who don't otherwise use their truck for full-size purposes. It has a back seat that's functional. This front half is the Hyundai Tucson, which is actually a pretty decent vehicle, and it has a 100,000-mile warranty. So there's actually a lot of reasons to maybe consider something like this instead of a full-size truck. I never thought I'd be saying this, but the Nissan Frontier currently might be the best mid-size truck you can buy. It's always been about 90% of the equivalent Tacoma, with about 80% of the MSRP, which is why about 1 in 4 to 1 in 6 people buy these every single year. But now that the Tacoma is a 4-cylinder built in Mexico, and these are still a pretty powerful VQ V6, the VQ is just the engine name basically, or part of the engine code. These are actually pretty substantial. They make 310 horsepower out of a 3.8 liter. They have a timing chain. They're pretty reliable. They're even pretty efficient with the 9-speed automatic transmission, meaning they get about 17 city, which is decent, or about 22 on the highway. So for over 300 horsepower from a reliable V6, that's actually a pretty good bargain. And I think the best part of all is a lot of these are the Nissan Pro 4X, which is basically the off-road 9.5-inch of ground clearance version, kind of like the TRD off-road Tacoma. I don't think it quite competes against the Pro, but these MSRP for $44,000 to $46,000, and you can often find them for about $40,000 to $41,000, sometimes in the high 30s. And you're not finding discounts like that on the Tacoma, especially if a loaded out equivalent TRD off-road is about $50,000. So yeah, it's about 80% of the value. And now these might actually be a better truck, a more reliable truck. It doesn't have all the safety features. It doesn't have all the creature comforts. It's more of an old school truck. But hey, like this one, for instance, you're getting a bedliner. You're getting not real beadlock wheels, but they are lookalikes. And it's, you know, in the mid-low $40,000 ballpark. So this might actually be your better option for a mid-sized truck. These are much more efficient. They're much more capable for being city-dwelling vehicles. If you're not going to take the Pro 4X or another mid-sized truck off-road, this is going to do just fine. It still has around 8 inches of ground clearance. Its H-Track all the time all-wheel drive system is almost as good as the Subaru mechanical system, and there's just a lot to love while doing, you know, mid-upper 20 mpg around town and on the highway, and doing a low 6 seconds 0 to 60 while having about a 4-foot truck bed. There's quite a bit to love. There's quite a bit to like about the Hyundai, especially when they're in the $30,000 ballpark. This 2020 TRD Pro Toyota Tacoma, it has over 60,000 miles. It's almost 5 years old, and the dealership still wants about $45,000 for it. Sure, it has a few upgrades, which aren't for everyone, but 45 grand for this? I'll of course overlay on the screen what this was MSRP for almost 5 years ago. This 2024 Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro has been sitting here for well over a month. You can still see it's a one owner. It's been doing nothing but collecting dirt and dust, and the dealership still wants to charge $60,000 for this, which is about $3,000 over MSRP, or about $10,000 over invoices, which is what they paid for it, and it still only has 2 miles on it. That has never been corrected. What the heck is going on here? It feels like something fishy to me. Anyways, guys, I hope you had a lot of fun with this video, because I know I had a lot of fun making it. It's just crazy how some dealerships charge markups, while other dealerships you can find the exact same vehicle just a couple hours away for maybe a $10,000 difference. If one of them wants to charge $4,300 in markup, and the other one's more desperate to sell and not feeling as greedy and wants to sell it for $5,000 under MSRP, while still making a little bit of money over invoice. Basically, my purpose in making this video is shop around, do your homework, don't just take the first deal that comes your way. Don't just trust the dealerships, because some of them are fantastic. Some of them, you know, price everything well below MSRP, and some of them are just trying to steal your money. And with that said, I wish you guys the best. Subscribe, like this video, comment your thoughts and opinions below. I hope to see you on the next one. Take care.